they started shooting. My son tried to get back into the car. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. They shot him 7 times. I just want justice for my son. My son didn't do anything. He didn't have a weapon in the car. The weapon that was in the car belonged to the driver. Unfortunately, the driver got arrested, but they let him go the next day at 5 o'clock in the morning, and he didn't even pay bail. They let him go. My son is in the ground, okay? And I want to seek justice for my son. This is my other son, Sean Reed. He's right here. That's my oldest son. And I have another son in Ohio. We want justice for him. Also, my son has a 3-month-old baby. He'll never see his son grow up. He'll never be able to take him to the park. He'll never go bicycle riding or see him get married. This son won't even see him get old. My son won't see me get old. So I just want justice for my baby. Okay? And thank you for your appreciation.
What do we want? Justice. When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
We're getting ready to march in a minute. We're getting ready to march. Everybody should get a sign. There's enough signs for everybody. While we're doing that, I want Professor Margaret Stevens to come.
To mobilize the fight against the pattern of behavior that made that happen in the first place, because she's here for her personal loss, but she's here for all of us who have lost. She's here for something larger, and whenever people take that energy and do that, that's a lesson in and of itself, and they don't teach that in school. How do you take your personal pain and make it something that the community can benefit from so that we can all love and grow together? They don't teach that in first grade, second grade. They don't teach that in college, because if they taught us how to take pain from the struggle of a racist, sexist world and turn that into positive energy to make this world a better place, there would be no world the way it is right now. The inequality wouldn't be here because we'd be too smart to accept it the way it is. So, I'm humbled by that. One of the things I'm thinking about just briefly is why Ferguson is such a big deal right now. I met so many brothers who came back from Ferguson, and what they said is, when you go out there to Ferguson, there's young people just organizing themselves. They got a books and breakfast program. Young, intelligent, black, working class people talking about revolution and politics. That's what they're not telling us about what's going on in Ferguson. What's so beautiful about what's happening there is that the next generation, whether they're telling us or not, is taking from a lot of the lessons that we've learned in the past and figuring out how to keep some of the best traditions and not keep some of the ones we don't know about. So just like when when Keisha says from Newark Anti-Violence, listen, let's work together, she's a concrete example of that. What she did from Newark Anti-Violence is they just trained some of my students at Essex County College on how to shut down Broad and Market a couple weeks ago. They did that. They helped those young people. They might not have been the ones at the front of the march, but it didn't matter because they took that. I just sat with Larry. He sat on my couch in my office a couple weeks ago, and a couple days ago, the stuff that came out of his head, the knowledge that came out of his head, the desire that he still has at this point in life to make sure that the next generation is out here and doing the same thing, it's not abstract. He texted me the next day like, when are we going to start? They're ready now to start building a new generation of young leaders. So that means all of us. It might only be 100 of us out here today. There are 10,000 of them out here right now that are with us. We just have to figure out how to physically bring them here. And the day that we do that, we'll be tired because we will have put so much work into making that happen. So I'm so proud that we're here today doing this work. And February 2nd, we're going to have a police brutality teach-in. So we're all working together for that teach-in right here at the college. And, thank you.
Thank you, sister. And now, the rest of the speakers will speak when we march back. The last speakers, it's up to us to value ourselves. And so when the sister came up here from the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, then that's one of the things we hear people commonly say, well, you don't get upset when we kill each other. We do. It may not make the front page of the news, but we do. It's more important that we find a way to end this. When Dr. King, unfortunately, was assassinated, he was assassinated at the beginning of the Poor People's Campaign. And when we look at what's taking place in the country and in the world right now, we see the largest income inequality in the history of the country. And so it's profoundly important that we do not get confused about the fact that from the time our ancestors were brought here on slave ships, It has always been about economics. From the time that we've been fighting to get free, it has always been about economics. And so because of the fact that the police protect and serve, we never asked the question, who? They protect and serve people that have money and own property. And it's up to us to make sure that they protect and serve us. They are supposed to be public servants. And it's important that we make sure that we don't get confused about their role or our role. And when they are out of order, it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we bring them to justice. And so the way that Larry and the organization has always moved forward to bring pressure on the society so that police get put in jail, one of the few times that police have actually been put in jail, it was under the work of Pop. And so it's important that we recognize that while we may not be large in number, it is not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. So it's up to us to make sure that we keep on moving. Black lives matter.
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 Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Volunteers, we're going to carry these banners over here. We need some more people. We got a few banners over here. Everybody come get a banner. There's only 3 or 4 left. Hands up! 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 Hands Live like him. Live win. Live like him. I can't breathe. 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 No peace. In the black community. Stop police brutality. 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 In the black community. Where's Sister Anna Lynn from Essex County College? Is she here? Is she here?
Lambe Brass Power Coalition out of Patterson. When you look around and you look at the numbers that are present here in times of dire danger, each and every one of you that are present have to serve as ambassadors, as seeds that we galvanize and organize the masses of people. We say no justice and no peace. Let us understand that these are not empty slogans. When we say no justice, there will be no peace, then we have to understand that it is a slogan that captures a complex analysis. And many of you have seen the movie. And I'm saying to you, business as usual. The status quo has to be disrupted if we're going to get anything out of this here. Tomorrow, it will very well be your name that we're chanting, that was murdered. Not by police brutality. No, change the word. Listen to me clear. We are dealing with terrorism. Police terrorism. That is the language that we have to begin to put out. We are being terrorized. And what we're going to have to do here in Newark, New Jersey, in Paterson, New Jersey, throughout the American empire, is that we are going to have to get control over all of the agencies that serve our lives. The police work for us. We have to decentralize public safety. We have to take control of the police. And we are going to have to establish the policies that should be enforced in neighborhoods in which we live in. If you go to some of the neighboring cities here near Newark, you'll find that services that are rendered are totally different here. We're dealing with an occupying army here because you're not respected.
That's right. That's right.
I'm not going to be long, but I'm going to be very, very strong. Do not forget this here. What we have right now in our hands, dear people, more sacred, coupled with marching, is that we are going to have to get into these neighborhoods and we are going to have to register people as a strategy, as a political strategy. And let us put on the ballot, because we're going to put on the ballot in Paterson, in New York, in the surrounding areas, the decentralization of public safety.
Hey, Dave, give yourself a round of applause, everybody. My name is Rick Robinson. I'm from the NAACP North Division. This is the thing. Keep demonstrating. These demonstrations that Pop put together, Mr. Larry Hamm and his organization, they are needed. I'll tell you why. The Eric Gardners, the situation in Ferguson with Brown. There was a woman, 18 years old, that was killed at the hands of the police in Alabama just recently, 18 years of age. They had a march all over the country today, different parts of the country for MLK Day, and they had a march in Alabama. Please, do not ever give up. Do not ever, and I mean ever, give up. Let your voices be heard and be smart about your actions and things will come to pass. Power to the people.
Veterans in other countries, we can absolutely, assuredly say that in too many communities here in this country, the police are an occupying army. And while we want to keep the dream alive, as that sign says, we want to end the nightmare of occupying armies in our communities. So thank you, Brother Larry Hamm, for pulling this together and inviting us up here. Thank you.
Thank you, man.